The Three-Body Problem is the first book in Cixin Liu's electrifying trilogy. While intended to recap the main plot points of the book, I highly recommend you read it first before watching this video. The Cultural Revolution sweeps across China. The Red Union is locked in a violent battle with the April 28th Brigade. A 15-year-old girl is shot and killed on a rooftop. Her body is thrown off the building, where it is impaled on a metal gate. And then half of her young head was blown away, and only a single beautiful eye remained to stare at the blue sky. And yet, compared to some others, she was fortunate. At least she died in the throes of passionately sacrificing herself for an ideal. The revolution rages in China's schools as well. At Tsinghua University, a conflict has erupted between several factions, but it is the academic authorities who suffer the hardest. Many are beaten to death or commit suicide to avoid abuse from every side of the battle. Ye Zhitai, a physics professor, remains defiant throughout the chaos. Now he is led by the Red Guards onto a stage in front of a raging crowd. He refuses to denounce relativity, which he teaches in his courses. His wife, Shaolin, in an act of self-preservation, claims he blinded her to the true nature of science with his reactionary views of the world. Ye Zhitai continues to defend relativity and quantum mechanics, even as he is beaten with a belt. He debates the Red Guards surrounding him, stating science should guide philosophy, in this case Marxism, as it is ignorant to believe a correct philosophy will fall out of the sky. Zhitai also defends the Big Bang Theory, which is seen by the young guard as reactionary, since it opens a possibility for God to exist before the singularity that started time and created the universe. The Red Guards, frustrated and driven by fanaticism, beat Ye Zhitai to death. The crowd disperses as Ye Wenjie, his daughter and student at the university, begins to laugh maniacally. She is frozen in place and stares at her father's body mutely. Finally, she retrieves Zhitai's pipe from his body and returns home, where Shaolin is laughing in a fit of madness. Leaving her mother, Ye Wenjie then finds her advisor and close friend, Ron Wen, dead after committing suicide. She could no longer feel grief. Ye Wenjie now lives in a construction corps work camp, clearing the forest of trees. Resigned to her new life, she feels the rampant deforestation she is taking part in is madness. Of her fellow workers, only Bai Mulin feels the same way. He gives her a copy of Silent Spring, a Western environmentalist book, which is seen as contraband in the camp. Ye Wenjie is captured by the message of the book. Centering around the destruction of a town resulting from pesticide use, she remarks how such chemicals are seen as normal, yet had clearly had an evil effect on the town. From nature's perspective, their use was indistinguishable from the Cultural Revolution, and equally destructive to our world. If this was so, then how many other acts of humankind that had seemed normal or righteous were, in reality, evil? Driven by the traumatizing events at Tsinghua University and her new perspective on the world thanks to Silent Spring, Ye Wenjie comes to several chilling conclusions. It is impossible to expect a moral awakening from humankind itself. To achieve this, a force outside the human race is required. Wenjie offers to transcribe a letter for Bai Mulin, modeled after Silent Spring, that he plans to use to expose the construction corps' environmental destruction. Some weeks later, she is summoned to company headquarters, where the letter and book are laid in front of her. She is accused of spreading reactionary propaganda, and it is revealed that Bai Mulin claimed to have no involvement in writing the letter. As it is in her handwriting and the book was found in her bunk, Ye Wenjie has been left out to dry. She is accused of harboring a resentment towards the Cultural Revolution and is sent to prison. Ye is visited in her cell by a government official who tries to get her to sign as a witness condemning her father and his reactionary views. Her younger sister, who is also a Red Guard, has already signed. Ye refuses, and the official pours a bucket of freezing cold water on her. She passes out. Vijay wakes up on a military helicopter later. She is accompanied by Political Commissar Lei Zicheng and Chief Engineer Yang Wei-ning of the Red Coast base. The base is a mysterious government site located near her former work camp in Inner Mongolia. They tell her her counter-revolutionary ideals can be rescinded by her work and contributions on the base's projects, which are described as defense research. If she agrees to work for them, she will never be able to leave Radar Peak, the mountain on which the base and its massive satellite dish is located. Surprising the two men, Vijay quickly and firmly agrees to the terms. She witnesses the satellite aim towards the sky and fire a mysterious transmission. The target of the transmission eludes Vijay, as the night sky is empty except for the twinkling stars. Professor Wang Miao is visited in his home by a cop, Captain Shi Chang, who is also accompanied by several military soldiers. They summon Wang to the Battle Command Center, which is headed by Major General Chang Wei-se. Several other prominent academics are also present. Perhaps most shockingly, US, British, NATO, and CIA personnel are in attendance, having seemingly set aside their political rivalries with China. It is revealed that Wang is researching nanomaterial, which has enormous industrial potential. One strand, just 1/100th the width of a human hair, could lift up a truck or cut through metal like cheese. The meeting begins with Wang still in the dark about the issue the military is seemingly considering a war. He is given a list of names, and one stands out. Yang Dong, another renowned physicist who Wang had previously worked with. General Chang Wei-se tells Wang that Yang Dong and the other names on the list, all prestigious academics, have committed suicide within the last 2 months. Her suicide note is read to Wang. All the evidence points to a single conclusion. Physics has never existed and will never exist. I know what I'm doing is irresponsible, but I have no choice. The Battle Command Center is currently investigating the organization called the Frontiers of Science, which several of the suicide victims were involved in. With current modern physics research seemingly stagnating, the organization aims to discover the limits of science. If there is only so far science can go in understanding the natural world. Wang reveals he was offered to join the organization. Zhang wants him to join and act as a mole for the command center. Wang agrees. Instead of returning home, Wang asks his escort to take him to the apartment of Yang Dong's boyfriend, Ding Yi. They discuss her research. Ding Yi reveals to Wang that over the past 2 years, a series of experiments was conducted with new particle accelerators across the world. According to modern theories, the laws of physics are invariant across space and time. This means, despite the differences in space and time the experiments are conducted in, the different locations in the world, if performed under the same conditions, the results should be the same. However, Ding Yi reveals to a stunned Wang that the experiments produce completely different results, regardless of any changes made to the equipment or particle variables. This implies several terrifying conclusions. Modern research has been completely wrong, and the laws of physics vary over space and time. Based on this, there are no universal laws of physics. The next day, still pondering the earth-shaking revelations on the natural world, Wang bikes around the city taking photographs. Developing the film, he notices several strange white numbers in the center of the first shot, reading 1200 hours. The numbers appeared on every other image and appeared to count down. Beginning to worry, he takes more pictures, but the countdown seems to continue. The time he seemingly has left amounts to 50 days. Now panicking, Wang visits Shen Yufei, a friend of his in the frontiers of science. She welcomes him wearing a professional gaming suit, and Wang also notices a powerful computer workstation in her home, one unbefitting for personal use. On the screen is a video game with the URL www.3body.net. Mystifyingly, she asks about his nanomaterial research and urges him to stop. The next morning, Wang can still see the countdown when he closes his eyes. He rushes to the lab and shuts down his project, causing the numbers to vanish. Wang calls Shen, demanding to know what is going on. She sends him a Morse code chart, and Wang tells her he plans to restart his research in 3 days. 3 days from now, between 1 and 5 in the morning, the entire universe will flicker for you. Driven by curiosity, Wang opens the 3-body video game on his computer. It is an astonishingly realistic virtual reality game, with sensory experiences far surpassing those in the current gaming industry. The game is set in the Warring States period of Chinese history. Wang learns from 2 NPCs that time works differently in the game, and that they are in a chaotic era. King Wen, one of the game's characters, explains time is divided into chaotic and stable eras. The eras are irregular, with sporadic sunrises and sunsets, and rapidly changing temperatures that fluctuate between freezing and boiling hot. Wang and the NPCs walk along a road lined with what King Wen describes as dehydrated bodies. The temperature shifts from a chilling cold to a dangerous heat as the sun rapidly rises. The other NPC undergoes dehydration, laying out in the heat and desiccating his body, but remaining alive. 10 minutes later, all of the water had been eliminated from his body. He was now a man-shaped piece of leather stretched out on the ground. His facial features had flattened and become indistinct. According to King Wen, everyone in this world can undergo dehydration and then be rehydrated to restore their normal bodies. It has been impossible in his kingdom to accurately predict the length of stable and chaotic eras. This makes the survival of any civilization on this world extremely tenuous. Wang notices 2 flying stars in the night sky above them, and learns sometimes 3 will appear. King Wen and Wang journey to an enormous pyramid, where Wen plans to present a calendar he claims will predict stable and chaotic eras to King Zhou. To test the calendar, the game time is sped up. Wen's predictions are not perfect, but they seem to have reliably guessed the pattern. King Zhou gives the order to rehydrate the kingdom. Soldiers begin throwing the dehydrated bodies into a lake, where they rapidly rehydrate. Several days pass. On the 8th day, the sun never rises, deviating from Wen's predictions. Then, 3 stars appear in the sky. The game becomes extremely cold, and as everyone dehydrates again, Wang learns that 3 stars signifies a cold period, freezing enough to turn stone into dust. A voiceover narration reveals to Wang the game has ended, as this cold period will result in the end of King Zhou's dynasty. The long night lasted 48 years. Civilization number 137 was destroyed by the extreme cold. This civilization had advanced through the Warring States period before succumbing. The seed of civilization remains. It will germinate and again progress through the unpredictable world of 3-body. We invite you to log on in the future. Wang logs off, fixated on the solution, if any, to the game. He goes to visit Yang Dong's mother, revealed to be Ye Wen-jie. She offers to get him access to an observatory in Urumqi, as Wang has told her he wishes to observe the cosmic microwave background. At the observatory, Wang meets with Sha Rishan, a former student of Wen-jie. The observatory is responsible for mapping out cosmic microwave radiation, which is largely uniform in temperature with extremely rare fluctuations. After the universe cooled from the Big Bang, the leftover embers became the cosmic microwave background. The radiation fills the entire universe and can be observed in the centimeter wavelength range. Wang tells Shaw he wants to see a 5% fluctuation tonight at 1 a.m., a figure given to him by Shen. It would be an unprecedented figure. He tours the facility with Shaw as the clock approaches early morning, and Wang learns of Venjay's father's death and her involvement in the Red Coast Project. At 1 a.m., the temperature readings on Shaw's screen begin to change from a flat green line to red waves. 3 waveforms appear, then another. The 3 satellites in the ground-based observatory confirmed one fact: the universe was flickering. Wang prints out the waveform and measures the distance between the peaks. They align with the Morse code chart given to him by Shen earlier. The code reveals the flickers are continuing the countdown. Wang now has 1,108 hours remaining. He calls Shen Yufei, who tells him she doesn't know what happens at the end of the countdown. The possibilities rush through Wang's head, who is overwhelmed at the cosmic scale of the events happening to him. Shi Chang, who has been tailing him the entire time, finds him crying inside a church. Shi tells Wang of strange occurrences around the globe, including a crime wave against academic and science institutions, seemingly without any tangible motive. Environmental groups and activists, even the film industry, have been more active in pushing for a return to a more natural world. Combined with the recent suicides of prominent scientists, Shi believes all these events are connected. Everything that's happening is coordinated by someone behind the scenes with one goal: to completely ruin scientific research. She doesn't know who the perpetrators are behind this movement, but is certain it is a coordinated effort to ruin science's reputation. Wang is shocked to hear all countries around the world have put aside hostilities to get to the bottom of the case, and have even managed to keep the media in the dark. She believes this hidden enemy is most worried about the threat scientists like Wang pose. He encourages Wang to continue his research and not worry about the countdown. He also urges him to continue playing the 3-body game. Wang returns home and logs back onto the game. 4 more civilizations have risen and fallen in the time he's been away. His current session is set in the Han Dynasty. An NPC named Mosey explains to Wang his theory that the universe is 2 spheres, an inner sphere with many holes and an outer sphere with one large hole. The spheres are surrounded by a sea of fire with changing conditions. They observe the sun outside, with Wang continuing to be amazed by the detailed graphics of the game. Mosey's predictions and model of the universe, like King Wen's, hold true only for a short while. One day, a massive sun rises on the horizon. The heat is immense, burning the entire civilization. Wang logs off, now believing the game represents some sort of reality. He visits Ye Venjay again, who tells him of her time at Red Coast. Ye becomes a technician at the Red Coast base in the transmission department. She notes the targeting system of the base is not very precise, and realizes the base is essentially only a radio transmitter. Commissar Lei, however, reveals to her that it has incredible transmitting power. Ye is soon transferred to the monitoring department, which seems to have more advanced technology and is closer to the true objective of the base projects. She is supervised by Yang, who is hostile towards her for unknown reasons. One day, she is summoned to the main office, where Ye learns the true nature of Red Coast Base. She learns that among other scientific fields, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is poised to make a massive leap in the technology available to it. The US and its allies in NATO are already investigating nearby stars, sending messages to those who may listen. The Chinese government believes it is imperative that they also begin their search for alien life, so their voice is heard as well. This is the goal of the Red Coast base. Back in the present day, Wang realizes why the Red Coast project had such a high security rating despite only being marginalized research. Scholars found it was not a good idea for the human race as a whole to make contact with extraterrestrials. If contact were to occur, the internal divisions within Earth's civilization would be magnified and likely lead to disaster. This result would be the same regardless of how technologically advanced the alien civilization was. Additionally, Earth could not afford for one country to monopolize contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, as it would signify tremendous economic and military power. Ye admits to Wang that she never heard anything while working at the base. Because of the technological limitations at the time, and Earth only being a Type 0.7 civilization, the transmissions sent were extremely faint. The base never heard any responses as well. It is revealed that Ye married Yang after working in the base for 4 years. Yang and Lei died in an accident, and her daughter Yang Dong was born soon after. It was only after Red Coast was decommissioned in the 1980s that Ye returned to teach at Tsinghua University. Wang returns home, determined to solve the three-body game. His new world is now inspired by the European High Middle Ages, as his new user ID is now Copernicus. In the game, Wang unveils his new theory to Pope Gregory. The reason why the sun's motion seems patternless is because our world has 3 suns. Under the influence of their mutually perturbing gravitational attraction, their movements are unpredictable. The three-body problem. Wang believes a stable era is when the planet revolves around one of the suns in a stable orbit. Chaotic eras occur when another sun moves close and interrupts the orbit. When 3 suns appear in the sky, a tri-solar day, the planet burns up instantly. Wang's current world is then destroyed by a tri-solar day. However, red text appears on his screen. He has correctly deduced the nature of the game's universe and has progressed to the 2nd level. Wang logs off at 3 a.m. and receives a call from Shi Chong, summoning him to his office where he is met by Wei Sheng, Shen Yufei's husband. Wei tells Wang of his natural talent with math and reveals he has been researching solutions to the three-body problem. He met Shen in a Buddhist temple while he was a monk there, and remembers overhearing her saying a strange prayer to her Lord. She refused to explain what this Lord was, but seemed to imply this entity was very much real. Wei continued his research after they got married until recently. He tells Wang he received a call from an unknown number telling him to stop his research, otherwise he would be killed. Shen, however, demanded he continue, even holding a gun to Wei's face. If you succeed in solving the three-body problem, you will be the savior of the world. If you stop now, you'll be a sinner. Wang also learns from a police officer who has been monitoring the game that he has an esteemed reputation in three-body. He and she drive to Shen's apartment, where they find her dead, shot 3 times. Wei tells Shi and Wang that one of the scientists who would visit Shen mentioned Adventists and Redemptionists, implying the existence of factions under a single commander in this shadowy organization. He gives Wang a CD with his research on the three-body problem, urging him to publish it. Every time when I see the sunrise, it feels like sunset. And it's all because God, or the Lord she talked about, can't even protect himself anymore. Wang enters the 2nd level of the game. He encounters von Neumann and Newton NPCs, who tell him they are visiting Emperor Qin Shi Huang. The scientists plan to create a human computer with 30 million soldiers to figure out the sun's movements. Von Neumann demonstrates to the Emperor how 3 soldiers with black and white flags can form several types of computing gates, dependent on the output soldier responding to the flags the other 2 raise. Von Neumann is given 30 million soldiers, who array on a massive square in the form of a human circuit. They are able to perform complex calculations by combining the millions of individual functions from each soldier involved. However, similarly to Wang's experiences on the previous levels, the calculated pattern proves to be incorrect. The 3 suns begin moving around the planet in a straight line, forming a trisolar syzygy. Because of this alignment, the sun's gravitational forces become combined. The soldiers and buildings surrounding Wang fly into the sky towards the sun, ending the game once more. Soon after logging off, Wang receives a personal phone call from a system administrator of the game, who asks for several bits of personal information. He is invited to attend a meetup of 3-body players the following evening. The fellow players turn out to be social elites. Wang subtly texts Shi updates on the meeting. The head of the meeting is Pan Han, a suspect of Shen Yufei's murder and a renowned biologist. He tells the players that Trisolaris, the world of 3-body, actually exists. The ability of the native Trisolarans to dehydrate is also real. The goal of the game was to teach players of the real Trisolaris environment, and to gather people of a common mind. Wang learns several other players have cynical, even pessimistic views on humanity and its future, and would welcome the Trisolaran civilization on Earth. Seeking to blend in and learn more about the game and Trisolaris for Shi, Wang agrees with their views. He logs into the game again. The massive pyramid that normally greets him has now been replaced with a tall, modern building. Behind it is a towering pendulum, which he is told by an NPC is a monument for Trisolaris. Wang learns the centuries-long effort to solve the 3-body problem, spanning almost 200 civilizations, has ended. He presents Wei Sheng's research model to a crowd of dignitaries, but learns the Trisolarans have proved the 3-body problem has no definite solution. Tiny perturbations can be endlessly amplified. Its patterns of movement essentially cannot be mathematically predicted. If even an extremely simple arrangement like the 3-body problem is unpredictable chaos, how can we have any faith in discovering the laws of the complicated universe? Wang learns that a previous civilization was destroyed when the 3 stars' motion vectors aligned with the planets, seemingly freezing them in the night sky. The gravity of each star ripped the planet apart, creating a giant moon in the sky. Trisolarans call this event the Great Rip. All life on the planet was decimated, and civilization only re-emerged after 90 million years. The Trisolarans believe their species cannot risk another frozen flying star event, and also worry that eventually the planet itself will be hurled into one of the suns. Their astronomers also learned that the system used to contain 12 planets. Now only theirs remains. The Trisolarans must leave their system for any hope of survival. The new goal is, head for the stars, find a new home. Wang is told the servers for the game will be shut down soon, and is advanced to the final level. He arrives at the same building as before, 3 civilization cycles later. Millions of Trisolarans are gathered beneath a sea of stars arranged in a square. An NPC tells Wang the stars are the Trisolaran Interstellar Fleet. They have developed ships capable of 1/10 light speed, an astounding technological feat. Wang learns the fleet is embarking on an expedition to Earth, and is expected to arrive in 400 to 500 years. The game closes, and Wang is invited to another meetup, this time with the Earth Trisolaris organization. The meeting for the organization, also called ETO, is held in a chemical plant. Wang sees Pan Han again in front of a crowd. He admits to murdering Shen Yufei, calling her a traitor to the Adventists. It is also revealed he leads the Environment Branch, responsible for exploiting and creating environmental issues to further erode science's reputation. The commander of the organization walks in. Wang is stunned to see it is none other than Ye Wenjie. She confronts Pan Han over the murder of Shen. Pan is part of the Adventists, a faction in the ETO that believes the Trisolarans should destroy humanity. Human society can no longer rely on its own power to solve its problems or restrain its madness. Therefore, we ask our Lord to come to this world and with its power, forcefully watch over us and transform us, so as to create a brand new, perfect human civilization. The Adventists are led by Mike Evans, another high-ranking member in the ETO. As for the deceased Shen Yufei, she belonged to the Redemptionists, a faction that seeks peace between humanity and the Trisolarans. Ye has one of her bodyguards kill Pan Han, then approaches Wang to tell him her true experience at Red Coast. At the base, Lei and Yang faced the problem of solar radiation causing interference in the base's transmissions. As their commanding officer, Lei pushed them for an answer in order to claim the credit for Ye's research. After months of research, Ye discovers the sun can be used to amplify radio waves. Because of the sophisticated technology at her disposal, Red Coast could theoretically send radio waves hundreds of million times more powerful than the most powerful transmission possible on Earth. Earth's civilization had a way to transmit at the level of a Kardashev Type II civilization. The high officers, including Lei, however, worry about the political symbolism of Ye's proposal. To fire a radio beam at the red sun would invite political disaster. Despite this, Ye shoots a radio beam in secret at the sun under the guise of a test transmission. It is a monumental moment in human history, though she does not know it yet. Only Yang knows what she did. Ye didn't know that at that moment, the first cry from Earth that could be heard in space from civilization on Earth was already spreading out from the sun to the universe at the speed of light. A star-powered radio wave, like a majestic tide, had already crossed the orbit of Jupiter. Right then, at the frequency of 12,000 megahertz, the sun was the brightest star in the entire Milky Way. Ye falls back into the routine of work at Red Coast. It is now the height of the Cold War, and with the threat of nuclear war ever looming, Ye continues to be disillusioned in human nature and the future. She marries Yang but feels no love towards him. One evening, monitoring the waves of empty noise the base picks up on the monitor, Ye comes across a recognizable signal. It has a high rating, indicating a 90% chance it contains intelligent information. She feeds it to a computer to decipher it. Ye opened the resulting document, and, for the first time, a human read a message from another world. Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer. This world has received your message. I am a pacifist in this world. It is the luck of your civilization that I am the first to receive your message. I am warning you. Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer. There are tens of millions of stars in your direction. As long as you do not answer, this world will not be able to ascertain the source of your transmission. But if you do answer, the source will be located right away. Your planet will be invaded. Your world will be conquered. Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer. Ye is floored. She has discovered intelligent alien life. More messages come in, telling her of Trisolaris, the three-body problem, and the civilization's plan to migrate. Only Ye knows what has happened so far. She quickly goes to the main control room, still not notifying anyone, and sends a message back. Come here. I will help you conquer this world. Our civilization is no longer capable of solving its own problems. We need your force to intervene. Wang is floored by Ye's story and her damnation of humanity. She tells him the Trisolarans, her lord, fear his nanomaterial research because it could be used to build space elevators. It is critical for the Trisolarans to hinder any scientific advancements that would cause humanity to pose a threat to their fleet. The cafeteria is then invaded by the military, led by Shi Qiang, who arrests Ye. 3 ETO members grab spheres from a sculpture in the center of the room, claiming they are nuclear bombs. 2 are fake, but 1 is confirmed to be authentic. She is able to shoot the bomb, which sets off an explosion without the full impact of a nuclear blast. A firefight breaks out and Ye Wen-jae is captured. In her interrogation, Ye confesses to murdering Lei Zicheng and her husband Yang Wei-ning. Lei summoned her to his office, where he has learned of her receiving a message from aliens. However, he does not know that Ye already replied, and urges her to let him handle the situation. Presumably, he wishes to communicate with Trisolaris himself to receive credit for the achievement and further his political career. Ye devised a plan to kill Lei. She sabotaged a processing module, making it seem there was an issue with the ground wire. To fix this, the base had to send a worker down a cliff by rope to inspect the issue. As the commander, Lei went down to investigate. Yang Wei Ning also joined him. As both men were climbing back up, Ye sawed through their rope, sending them crashing to their deaths. I did it without any feeling. I had finally found a goal to which I could devote myself. I also knew the entire human race would pay an unprecedented price for this goal. This was a very insignificant beginning. As life returned to normal after the accident, the base's security rating was lowered. Civilians were now allowed to visit Radar Peak. Ye begins to tutor several villagers in physics, math, and science. She gives birth to her daughter, Yang Dong, and lives with a family in the greater Qing'an Mountains off the base. As she becomes politically rehabilitated, Ye slowly begins to feel more human. However, she remains detached from the outside world, and attempts to use her work to numb her to her actions in the past. Ye begins searching for the Red Guards who had beaten her father to death so many years ago. She is able to meet up with 3 of them, who refuse to apologize or repent. All are unemployed and remark on how their actions had such little impact on history. Ye is speechless at the guards' dismissal of her father's murder. The setting sun cast a long shadow from Ye's slender figure. The small sliver of hope for society that had emerged in her soul had evaporated like a drop of dew in the sun. Her tiny sense of doubt about her supreme act of betrayal had also disappeared without a trace. Ye finally had her unshakable ideal: to bring superior civilization from elsewhere in the universe into the human world. Several months later, Ye was introduced to a foreigner by the name of Mike Evans. He was an environmentalist looking to save a subspecies of swallow. Evans met with Ye and told her of his pan-species communism ideal, that all species are created equal. Ye found herself wishing there were more men like him in the world. 3 years later, Evans asked to meet with Ye again, having recently inherited a large sum of money from his father's death. He was pessimistic about his environmental efforts and believed that even his money would not prevent human civilization from destroying nature. Ye told him of her belief that humanity cannot improve using its own strength. Evans is told the entire story of the Red Coast base. Another 3 years pass. Evans invites Ye to Europe and flies her out to a massive ship in the Atlantic Ocean called Judgment Day. She learns from Evans, who is also now in contact with Trisolaris, that the fleet has set sail and will arrive at Earth in 450 years. Ye is appointed Commander-in-Chief of the ETO, their spiritual leader. The ETO was able to grow at a surprising rate, recruiting from highly educated classes in the elite political and financial spheres. It was easy for world governments to dismiss the organization as fringe extremists. Within the ETO, 2 factions emerged. The Adventists, led by Mike Evans, represented the members who had given up entirely on humanity and despised the human race. There were also the Redemptionists, who adopted an almost religious desire to save humanity and Trisolaris by uniting the 2 races. Above all, however, they sought to save their Lord while preserving humanity to some degree. Solving the 3-body problem was an essential component to this. The ETO was able to use the 3-body game to spread Trisolaran culture throughout Earth. Many of the new players and recruits would become Redemptionists. The Adventists and Redemptionists often clashed, nearly to the point of civil war within the ETO. However, there was also a 3rd faction that arose: the Survivors. These were the humans who wanted to ensure their descendants would survive even if humanity lost the impending war. To accomplish this, they were willing to serve the Trisolarans. It is revealed that the Adventists and Mike Evans have monopolized contact with Trisolaris. Additionally, the Trisolarans ended all contact with Earth 4 years ago. Ye admits she cannot control the organization, even though she was responsible for its creation and the impending arrival of the Trisolarans. She also cannot attack the Adventists aboard their ship, as they would be able to destroy the messages sent to them from Trisolaris. Ye reveals to the command center that the Trisolarans have already sent 2 protons at light speed to Earth. Supposedly, these 2 protons have been responsible for stifling human scientific progress. Wang worries the Trisolarans see humanity and its relatively primitive technology as equivalent to bugs. The command center officially declares the start of the war against Trisolaris. Their first objective is to capture the Trisolaran messages held on Judgment Day. They plan to strike when the ship crosses the Panama Canal in 4 days. The main issue is being able to preserve the data. They settle on using Wang's nanomaterial. Thin filaments will be strung across the canal, and they will be invisible to the ship and sliced through the metal like butter. The day of the attack arrives. The Judgment Day passes through Wang's nanomaterial net and is sliced into several dozen metal sheets, falling like a stack of pancakes. They are able to recover the messages from Trisolaris. Mike Evans is killed, and the messages are given to Ye. Ye's message was received by listening post 1379, one of thousands on Trisolaris dedicated to listening for intelligent life, much like Red Coast. The Trisolaris listener is floored by receiving the message, but also reflects on his mundane existence and how his lifespan is nearing its end. Any impacts from the message on the Trisolaran world would occur long after his death. It is revealed that idle Trisolarans are dehydrated and incinerated. To avoid this, he would have to mate. Their organic material would combine, then split into 3 to 5 new offspring. Given his low social status as a listener, however, it would be challenging to find a mate. Driven by this existential crisis and a desire to give his life some meaning, the listener sent back his reply message of "Do not answer." He is summoned to see the Princeps of Trisolaris, who is calm and numb in the face of the extraordinary events. Because of the destructive, cyclical nature of their civilizations, Trisolarans have sought to eliminate and avoid emotion in their lives. The listener tells the Princeps that he wishes to see Earth have a chance at survival, as he knows Trisolaris considers them dangerous and will seek to destroy humanity. He regrets that the current Trisolaris society is merely driven by a desire to survive. The Princeps spares his life, which he claims is to let the listener see the futility of his attempt to save Earth. Dismissing the listener, he orders the first expeditionary fleet to set sail. The Trisolaran Council is summoned and brought up to speed on recent events. They learn that Earth has responded to the listener's message, pinpointing its star's location as the closest one to Trisolaris. The Princeps, however, worries the fleet is sailing to destruction. Humanity has demonstrated the ability to accelerate their scientific progress, while Trisolaris has been characterized by slow, steady developments. Therefore, to preserve the fleet and prevent an Earth interstellar counterstrike, they must hinder humanity's scientific progress. To accomplish this, Trisolaris constructs sophons, protons transformed into supercomputers by unfolding their 9-dimensional structure into 2 dimensions. The first experiment is unsuccessful, with the proton becoming a 1-dimensional line 1500 light-years long. It begins to degrade and fall back into the atmosphere, causing threads of light to flicker in the sky. A second experiment causes the proton to unfold in 3 dimensions, creating giant, reflective, geometric solids to appear in the sky. They degrade to form eyes. The complexity of the shapes that appear as the proton unfolds perplexes the Princeps. It is explained to him that even fundamental particles have complex internal structures, which grow dramatically in higher dimensions. For instance, a particle viewed in 7 dimensions would be comparable to our universe as we see it now. Theoretically, it would even be possible for intelligence to exist somewhere in that microcosmos. If a proton were to be unfolded in 0 dimensions, however, it would create a singularity and black hole. The eyes suddenly merge together to form one gigantic pupil. It changes form to a giant parabolic mirror. light is concentrated into a single point on Trisolaris' capital, creating brilliant fires and tornadoes. In the atmosphere above, Trisolaran ships soundlessly fire nuclear warheads at the mirror. They are able to destroy it and avert the crisis. Although massive pieces litter the landscape, some the size of mountains, they all only accumulate to the mass of a single proton and are able to be easily moved. The destruction of the mirror also signifies the destruction of whatever intelligent civilization existed in that microcosmos. In the long history of scientific progress, how many protons have been smashed apart by physicists? Probably no fewer than 100 million. Even in nature, the destruction of universes must be happening at every second. The scientists of Trisolaris are able to unfold a proton in 2 dimensions. The heavens separated into 2 pieces. Between the two, the pattern of the stars did not match, as though 2 photographs had been stacked together, with the smaller one overlaid on top of the big one. A giant mirror has appeared in the sky, with the planet of Trisolaris and a sun now imposed on the sky. The proton has become a geometric plane with no depth. The scientists use the planet's gravity to wrap the plane around Trisolaris, where they will begin constructing the Sophon's computer components. After the circuits are built, the Sophon, now online and able to speak with the Trisolarans, is folded into 3 dimensions, becoming the size of a large moon. Its dimensionality is adjusted to 4, then 6. It is now 50 centimeters in radius, and can now observe Trisolaris similarly to us looking at a drawing on a piece of paper. I can see the control center, everyone inside, and the organs inside everyone, even the organs inside your organs. Because the Sophon exists in a higher dimension, it can enter any enclosed space in a 3-dimensional world. To be able to control it once its dimensionality is increased to 11, 3 other Sophons must be made. They will be able to shrink to the size of subatomic particles and interact as a system to navigate the macro world. The 3 other Sophons are built. 2 are sent to Earth, where they will disrupt its high-energy particle accelerators, effectively locking down humanity's scientific progress. The other 2 will remain on Trisolaris to receive the information sent from Earth and enable real-time communication with humanity. Back on Earth, the Battle Command Center is now aware that all communications are now being monitored by the Sophons. They know the Earth is perpetually under an omnipresent gaze, an eye in the sky. Trisolaris sends a message to humanity, displayed on everyone's eyes. You're bugs. Wang is drinking with Ding Yi, despondent over the future of humanity. She arrives and rallies the men to recommit to the fight, saying humanity's situation is similar to that of the locusts that plague its crops. Despite all the pesticides, poisons, and weapons of war used against them, the bugs have not been eliminated and may never know true defeat. Wang and Ding are re-motivated to rejoin the war effort. Elsewhere, a dying Ye Vin-jae revisits Radar Peak and watches the sunset from the cliff where she killed Lei and her husband. Her vision begins to fade. Over the western horizon, the sun that was slowly sinking into the sea of clouds seemed to melt. It spread over the sky, illuminating a large patch in magnificent bloody red. "My sunset," Ye whispered, "and sunset for humanity."